Welcome inside the WCBL studios. I'm your content host for the season, Clark Monroe with IKS Media. And today we wrap up our preseason coverage with our second last coaches interview of the 12 to give you a behind the scenes look at your favorite teams from across the league. And we're joined today by last year's Cinderella story, making it all the way to the finals after finishing fourth in the Eastern Division. It's Coach Eric Marriott of the Moose Jaw Miller Express. Eric, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, Eric, before we talk about last season and look ahead a little bit to the summer, you've been coaching now in Moose Jaw for several seasons, upwards of 6 years now. You started out as a younger guy. Just to get to know you a little bit better, how did you decide coaching was the right path for you, and at what point, what drove you to that?
Yeah, I think when I was a player, I always sort of wanted to stay with the game and knew that I wanted to coach. And when I came to Moose Jaw, I sort of fell in love with the city and everything like that. And my host family played a big part. And fortunately, they asked me to come back as the assistant coach when I was done playing after my senior year. And then some things happened and some bounces went my way. I ended up being named a little bit of an interim head coach for a year or so there. And then I took over and we took we kind of took the city by storm. My assistant coach and I, Mike Gonzalez, and we were just young, like you said, and we kind of ran with the opportunity. And now this is our fourth year on the field together, and I think Moose Jaw is right back on the map where we belong.
So let's talk about how you found your way to Moose Jaw in the first place as a player, because you obviously, like you mentioned, you played with the team for a couple of years before you became a coach. You went through the junior college route and then Div 3 baseball. Can you talk about kind of your path and how you found Moose Jaw in the first place?
Yeah, good story. Actually, I played 2 years of summer college baseball up in New York State. When I was in junior college, like you said, once I went over to Mitchell College in Connecticut, I got a call. I was sitting in economics class, and it was Coach Michael Hunt from Moose Jaw at the time, and gives me a call and goes, "Hey kid, I want you to come play for me. Come play center field. I like your game." And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And signed the contract, I believe, the next day, and I flew out there. And Coach Michael Hunt, who is still on the board now, played a big role in me falling in love with the city, and he's still sort of, for lack of better terms, my mentor in the city. And that's definitely how I found my way up here, or else I would have never known about the city of Moose Jaw.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say northeastern United States. Moose Jaw is not usually on the radar over there, but I say that because I was born and raised in Moose Jaw, so I'm allowed to say that. But Eric, let's talk about your offseason a little bit. Where do we find you right now, and what are you involved in when you're not in Moose Jaw coaching the Miller Express?
Yeah, well, Miller Express is 24/7. We're working on it every day. Something's going on with our GM and our assistant coaches and stuff like that. But when I'm not focused on that, I'm with Bulletproof Baseball Academy out of Welland, Ontario. Coach Scott Bullitt owns it. He's a former big leaguer with the Cubs and with the Dodgers, and he sort of runs this academy that's a 10 to 18U academy, and it's called Bulletproof Elite, and we help kids kind of develop their game and go off to college once they hit 18, seniors in high school. And then when I'm not with them, I'm with the Well and Jackfish of the IBL as their director of scouting and helping them kind of bring in West Coast talent while I'm out in Moose Jaw in Alberta, and helping them kind of chase another ring in the IBL as we won it back in 2023, and hopefully we can win another one this summer.
There you go. That's an impressive resume. So let's talk about last year's Miller Express team then on the field. Obviously, like I said earlier, kind of a bit of a Cinderella story. 26 and 29 record in the regular season, but you found your way into the playoffs. You defeated the number one Eastern team, Regina Red Sox, in a 2-game sweep. Then you traded some blowout wins with Saskatoon, and then you beat them to make your way to the final. And then a really hard-fought championship series against a very good Okotoks team. Can you just talk about that magical run from last year from your perspective? Through the playoffs?
Yeah, I think the regular season was sort of a roller coaster for us. The year before, we were the number one team, and we were really good. And we bowed out in the Eastern finals of the playoffs. And I think there was some carryover from that team, like guys like Nate Mensick, Thomas Soto, Austin Gurney, who they didn't want to go home. We squeaked into the playoffs. We were full of talent. We were just kind of up and down all year, and we kind of had a good little stretch to end the year, and we had a good talk, and we had a good team party at the end of the year. And at the end of the day, our seniors kind of stepped up, and they didn't want to go home. And we put the right guys in the right situations against Regina, and we knocked them out, and we went to Saskatoon, and like you said, we traded blows with them. And in game three, we had some big boys step up, and Weston Walls and Joe Osborne, and pushed us to the finals. And we met our friends in Okotoks, who we've known all too well over the last few years.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome series, man. If you're a baseball fan, it doesn't get better than that. We went to their place, they got us. They came to our place, we got them, and then we went back to their place, and it was hard fought battle. And we went to extras, and Connor Croson put a good swing on the ball and hit one out, and it was a storybook ending. And it was really cool if you weren't a fan for the Moose Jaw Miller Express. It was a cool moment, and hopefully we can get back there this summer.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess with you saying kind of an up and down year, what lessons can you take from last year that you can positively apply to this summer's team?
Yeah, I think we just kind of sort of put some focus on some areas that we didn't really need to, and we learned from it later in the season. And we don't have as many returners this summer as we did last summer, and we're going to rely heavy on some of the guys that are coming back. Austin Gurney's back for a fourth summer. He's an MVP candidate every summer. Thomas Soto will be back for a third summer. Switch hitting middle infielder, all-star last year. Weston Walls will be back. Complete game shutout in the East Finals to send us to the WCBL finals last year, and those guys will be relied upon heavily to sort of instill what we've built over the last few years, rather than relying on 15 returners to do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that was actually perfect because that was going to be my next question: is who's going to be coming back? So you mentioned a few names there. Are there some new guys, some new blood that you might be really excited to see in a Miller Express uniform this summer?
Yeah, lots. There's some guys that we expect to come in to take over for some guys that sort of graduated out of the program, and we expect them to step into big roles. Jacob Glazner, a lefty out of College of the Desert, he'll start for us on the mound. He's had a really good year at school, and we expect him to continue that. We have a third baseman coming in, Eddie. Eddie shines, and we expect him to really, really bang it in the middle of the lineup for us and play the corners, third base, first base. And our catcher, our number one catcher, Gustavo Soto, he's from Mexico, and he goes to Ecclesia, and he's special. Moose Jaw should be excited to see him come in, and the league better be on notice when he comes into town for sure.
I love that. That's a good sales pitch. I'm excited. So, Eric, if I told you I got back from the future, I just came back, and the Miller Express made it back to the final. You had a great season. You maybe even won the title. Fill in the blank for me here. Blank must have gone right in order for all of that to happen. What's the X factor for the Moose Jaw Miller Express this summer?
Our plan. I think that's our plan. Our plan must have went right. I think if our goal wasn't to win the WCBL championship, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're hopeful to have these players come in and develop on and off the field and get better and get ready to go back to school as better men. And for our seniors, whether it's one last ride or to take a shot at pro ball, we want them to come here and develop as men too. And at the end of the day, we want rings on our fingers. And our city has been behind our back all the way through it, and our board has been really good, and we expect that our plan is to go back to the championship.
There you go. Championship aspirations. Coach Eric Marriott of the Moose Jaw Miller Express, appreciate your time today. Best of luck getting back to the finals again this year, and we'll chat with you down the road.
Thanks, guys.